That's a drinking game. That should be a drinking game. Every time you see a Starbucks coffee shop, you take a shot or you take a swig or your pint. There you go. There's a good... You know what? I'm going to call this the Fight Club drinking game. There you go.
Peter.
Guys and girls, movie trivia time. Fight Club, one of the best. One of the best. One of the classics out there. We got the top 10 according to a news article here. Let's see what you think. Things you may not have known about Fight Club. Let's get cracking. So, number 1 on the list. In the short scene when Brad Pitt and Ed Norton are drunk hitting golf balls, they really are drunk, and the golf balls are sailing directly into the side of the catering truck. Can you imagine how much fun that would be, man? Literally going on the piss for like... going on the piss in scenes, nighttime. It's probably the last scene of the night and you're just fucking banging away golf balls. Get some anger out of it maybe, huh? Get some adrenaline. Fucking, that'll be some fun. Alright, the next one. This is good. When the narrator hits Tyler Durden in the ear, Edward Norton actually did hit Brad Pitt in the ear. He was originally going to fake hit him, but before the scene, David Fincher pulled Norton aside and told him to hit him in the ear. After Norton hit him in the scene, you can see him smiling and laughing while Pitt is hurting and swearing. You know, I tell you, man, they say a lot of times that movie stars, they can be a bunch of... And like, Brad Pitt, you see how ripped he is for this movie? Like, Jesus, I think these guys are tough, man. You gotta go for it. Original, authentic reactions. Next. What is next? Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter spent 3 days recording orgasmic sounds for their unseen sex scenes. Can you imagine sitting there for 3 days just recording orgasmic sounds? I mean, you'd want to be getting drunk after the first day, man. You know, your voice would be going and you'd be like, oh man, I gotta loosen this up. A couple of hot whiskeys, hot toddies, smoothing out the lungs, throat. I mean, they must have had some laugh, man. And I wonder, do they actually... I don't know if they were going out with each other at the time, any boyfriends or girlfriends, but it must have turned them on. Wouldn't you think it would, after 3 days of that? Anyway, next. This is interesting. The visible breath in the cave scene is recycled Leonardo DiCaprio breath from Titanic, which was composited into the shot. Well, guys... check that out the next time, and it's around 10 minutes into the movie. So the visible breath in the cave is recycled DiCaprio breath from Titanic. How do they do that, man? I love that. I think that a lot of the time, like, they do have these type of special effects on a file somewhere, you know, or sound effects there, you know, that you can store them away for other movies and things. But that'll be interesting to see if you can see that now the next time, if you know Titanic well, of course. Next. Director David Fincher shot 38 takes of the scene between Tyler Durden and the narrator in Lou's bar after the narrator's apartment has blown up. Each take was filmed with 2 cameras, and for every individual take, Fincher would give the actors a rough idea what to do, and they would improvise most of the dialogue. The scene as it exists in the finished film, is made up of segments from numerous different takes, and much of the dialogue, especially Tyler's dialogue, was completely ad-libbed on set. Well, you know, I gotta hand it to Brad Pitt, man. He never really got the recognition back in those days. He's getting a lot more. Obviously, he won the Oscar for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But, like, if anybody you'd be thinking would be ad-libbing would be Edward Norton. You know? But not Brad Pitt. But hey, just goes to show, man, hard to know how good these guys are, how much work they put into their craft. Fascinating. Next, producer Ross Grayson Bell initially wanted Russell Crowe to play Tyler Durden, but he was overruled by fellow producer Art Linson, who felt Brad Pitt was the better choice. Bell has since said that he is glad Linson stepped in, as he can't imagine anyone being as good in the role as Pitt proved to be. Well, maybe you can't, but you gotta admit, Brad Pitt or Russell Crowe probably would have been cool in that too. Tough guy, even though Brad Pitt really pulled it off, I think. You know, especially he was so kind of like a crazy bastard, and like again, well, we talked about being ripped. Like I think he did a really good job. But Russell Crowe I think would have been great. Right, next. To prepare for their roles, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt took basic lessons in boxing, taekwondo and grappling, and also studied hours of UFC programming. Prior to principal photography, Pitt also visited a dentist to have the cap on his chipped tooth removed. Well, I think, man, gotta hand it to the two boys. I think they went for it on this movie. They really did, you know? Forget it. Just go for it, man. Good on the boys. Next, Starbucks pulled their name from the coffee shop destruction scene. They didn't mind the director placing their product throughout the film, of course not, but did not want their name to be destroyed in that scene. Therefore, the gold globe crashes into a shop named Gratifico Coffee. I mean, really, what corporate asshole at Starbucks decided this wasn't a good idea? Who cares if it got blown up? Give me a break. In fact, if anything, it would have given them more focus. There's no such thing as bad publicity, lads. Like, whoa. Oh, you gotta be so careful these days. And like, we're not... And these days, this is 20 fucking years ago. And they're doing this? Oh, can you just see them up in the big black tower, right? Where it's hovering above the dark clouds and you can't see the top. And it's in a big black building and they're all up there. And they're all having their scotch and they're thinking, guys, we can't do this. No, forget it. We gotta have Starbucks shown. Or even better, we can't replace it with something else. Give me a break. I think it would have absolutely added to the whole movie for Starbucks. Anyway, next. Brad Pitt was paid $17.5 million apparently for his part in the film. Ed Norton was paid $2.5 million. Ooh, do we think that's true? Now, guys, this is from a reliable article here, but you look, you know, maybe some of these may be a bit exaggerated, or maybe they're not, maybe they're lying, or maybe they're completely true, but then again, Brad Pitt was a huge star back in these days, so he wasn't on the 20 million mark as a lot of them do get to, but 17.5 is pretty damn good. And his agent walking away with probably 10-15%, his manager walking away with 10%. So like 25% of the 17.5 is already gone. And then he's obviously got paid the tax. So yeah, he wouldn't be getting the whole 17.5. And Ed Norton was paid 2.5. This just goes to show, man, A-list movie stars. You know, incredible. Having a good agent is so important behind you. And the last one, David Fincher claimed in an interview in the UK film magazine Empire that there's a Starbucks coffee shop visible in every shot in the movie. Well, back to the other one. I mean, really, this is in at number 10? Jesus. I mean, it's in every visible shot. You know what, guys? That's a drinking game. That should be a drinking game. Every time you see a Starbucks coffee shop, you take a shot or you take a swig of your pint. There you go. There's a good... You know what? I'm going to call this the Fight Club drinking game. There you go. So guys, that's Fight Club. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with more trivia.
Peter.
Wow.